Hi, thank you for joining me. This is from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 13. He was teaching in a synagogue on the Sabbath, and a woman was there who for 18 years had been crippled by a spirit. She was bent over, completely incapable of standing erect. When Jesus saw her, he called her and said, "Woman, you are set free of your infirmity." He laid his hands on her, and she at once stood up straight and glorified God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant that Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, said to the crowd in reply, "There are 6 days when work should be done. Come on those days to be cured, not on the Sabbath day." The Lord said to him in reply, "Hypocrites, do not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his ass from the manger and lead it out for watering? This daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for 18 years now, ought she not to have been set free on the Sabbath day from this bondage? Ought she not to be set free on the Sabbath day? I want to talk about our observance of the Sabbath, our observance of Sunday. Now, obviously, the most important thing with that is the Sunday celebration of the Eucharist. And that is important in so many ways, and I could go on and on about that. But that's like the first step. I want to take it beyond that today and talk to you a little more about it. It was appropriate that this woman be cured on the Sabbath. Not only was it permissible, it was appropriate because the Sabbath is meant to be something that is freeing. The Catechism of the Catholic Church, in describing the Sabbath, describes it as a day of protest against the servitude of work and the worship of money. A day of protest against the servitude of work and the worship of money. Have we ever thought about the Sabbath, Sunday, as a day of protest? There's something freeing about the Sabbath. There's something freeing about knowing if we don't do this, that, or the other thing, the sun is still going to rise tomorrow morning. There's something freeing about saying, I don't have to do laundry today. I don't have to go to the store today. Sunday should be different for lots of reasons. When we celebrate the Sabbath, we recall creation and the day of rest. We recall the liberation of the people of Israel. Most importantly of all, we recall the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. That is the oldest liturgical feast. Before Christmas, before Easter, the oldest liturgical feast is the Sunday celebration of the Eucharist. It's described as the kernel of the liturgical year. So it's something very important. Again, first of all, for worship. But the Sabbath is also meant to be something freeing. It's meant to be a day of joy. It's meant to be something that we look forward to. And we can do that. Sometimes it just requires a little bit of effort, a little bit of work to remember that we don't have to work that day, that we can put things aside, and there are other things we can do. We can devote it to family. We can devote it to visiting friends. We can devote it to extended family, even just calling people up. What a wonderful way to teach your children that on Sunday we're going to go visit Grandma or Aunt Matilda, who lives hundreds of miles away. We're going to call her or FaceTime her or things like that. There are many wonderful things you can do to celebrate the Sabbath. There's a Jewish saying that I'm rather fond of. It says, it is an act of righteousness, a teshuvah, to take a nap on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is to be this day of rest. It's to be this day of joy. It should be something that we look forward to. So not constricting, well, I can't do this today, I can't do that today. No, it's meant to be something that is freeing, that I don't have to do this today. I don't have to do that today. And instead, I can devote myself to other things, to prayer, to spirituality, to relaxation, to joy, to spending time with family, immediate or extended. And the list could go on and on. I invite you to consider, just make your own list about ways of keeping the Sabbath holy, making Sunday special, making Sunday different from the other days of the week. Certainly by the celebration of the Sunday Eucharist, but in other ways as well. I remember sometimes as a child growing up, my mom would serve Sunday dinner on the china rather than on the regular dishes. Something as simple as that makes Sunday a special day. Now, there are 3 documents or references I'm going to give you where you can do a little bit more about this, okay? The first is the Catechism of the Catholic Church, starting with paragraph 2168. It talks about the Sabbath day, it talks about the Lord's Day, the Sunday Eucharist, the day of grace and rest from work, talks about the Sunday obligation as well. And you'll see that either above or below this video, there will be a link to that, okay? Next is an apostolic letter that came out in 1998 by St. John Paul II called Dies Domini, the Day of the Lord. And he does a greater reflection on all of this. And more recently, just on May 31st this year, Bishop Johnston of our diocese issued a pastoral letter, Keeping the Lord's Day. And the bishop talks about a number of things there. He talks about we're pilgrims on the way. That's important to remember. He says there's this value of celebrating Sunday well. And he gives this image of Bethany. Bethany was a place of rest for Jesus. It was a place for him to be with friends, and we might add that Bethany also became a place of resurrection. The bishop says Sunday celebrated well makes us more human. And I might add, he says, more happy. To celebrate Sunday well makes us more human. It makes us more happy. All right? And he speaks of ways of celebrating this Sunday with grace. Eliminate some of the competition. Be more intentional about what you do. And be intentional about how you prepare for it. And we have a link to this document as well. It's not that long. I encourage you to explore any of these 3 documents. But remember, Sunday is to be a day of worship. Sunday is to be a day of joy. And the Sabbath is meant to be something freeing. Jesus comes to lead us into the freedom of the children of God. And you could say that our observance of Sunday is a foretaste of that freedom that is to come. May we learn to celebrate each Sunday as a day of holiness, as a day of prayer, of worship together, as a day of the Eucharist, but also as a day of joy, as something relaxing, and as something freeing, something that leads us into the freedom of the children of God. As we continue to journey through these difficult times, let us continue to lift each other up in prayer, and let us continue to face each day with courage, with faith, and with as much enthusiasm as we can reasonably muster up. Thank you.